What do you think the beef that Rollo has with Tate, which surprised me because I've seen them on some podcasts together. They did a good podcast on Fresh and Fit together, and it seems like a lot of the message should be the same. Why do you think that there's some sort of animosity there?
It's pretty simple to analyze, and I'm confident that I've analyzed it correctly. So earlier on, before Tate was huge, Rollo and Tate were doing some podcasts together. Yeah. And once Tate didn't rock up, he's a busy guy, Rollo was so upset and so emotional. What I saw in Rollo was the geeky kid who was allowed to hang out with the cool kids, but then the cool kids snubbed him. Rollo was so upset. And that's what you see right there. You see a geeky kid who's cool now, but of course Tate's cooler. So Rollo was always a fan, but also a closet hater. And Rollo was very much wanting to ride the Tate wave and, be supportive of Tate. But as soon as things started to look rocky for Tate, you saw the true hater come out. And now that Tate is, constrained and there's a lot of negative media, all of a sudden Rollo's coming out saying openly negative things. Where's the loyalty? Where's the sense of, hey, I work with this guy to make some content. Let's at least be respectful to each other. He's a snake. He's a hater snake, very much feminine frame. And all these people who are looking at him as the godfather of Red Pill, if that is your role model, someone who's acting in a feminine frame, who's basically a geeky nobody, who's written a book and talks a lot, and he wants to openly snake somebody who he previously worked for just because, that's the cool thing to do now because there's a lot of negative media out there. That's an individual without any sort of stoicism, without any masculine values. I've really lost a lot of respect for him as a result. It's quite disgusting to see.
What's your read on MLD? He recently got into some hot water and a lot of internet drama for showing up on a podcast, and then they said he walked out he was calling a girl fat, and then all this stuff blew up. But what's your read on him?
I didn't see that. Look, what I'd say about MLD, any man who is working hard to improve the lives of other men
doing a good thing
has my respect. Now, I don't know the details of the controversy. There's been some things he's said that I've seen cut up, which I disagree with. But again, I haven't seen the long form. So one of the things I've learned from Tate is don't judge someone based on sound bites. So yeah, I haven't looked into that. But I do know that he is passionate about improving the lives of men, and that's something I think the world needs more of, so it's something I respect.
Yeah, he is. Personally, he helped me with some personal relationship problems that he didn't have to do or he didn't talk about. So I do respect him. I think I think we should be on the same team,
100%.
Which I would say is frustrating about some of the Red Pill guys is that they will prioritize their platform over the message. Like, we're all on the same side. Yep. The woke virus is trying to get all of us, and a lot of us, we have so many more similarities and differences. We should be on the same team instead of wasting energy saying, like, going back and forth. And
again, what is this? Back in the day, like, let's talk about school. In a boys' school, if boys have issues, they'll fight, then they'll be mates afterwards. In a girls' school, girls will hate each other 20 years later. They'll hate women they went to school with 20 years ago. It's feminine frame stuff. This drama, this backstabbing, it's all feminine frame stuff. So to see people like Rollo coming after Tate, knowing that Tate has done more for waking men up and improving men's outlook on life more than anyone else, and you're going to try and snake him? That's just girls' school drama, really, and it shouldn't be happening. To your point, I think, are we not aware enough of the struggle and all of the forces on men's minds to make them into the sheep, to make them subservient to the feminine prerogative, that we can't put aside the drama and support each other? And that's why when you see someone like Rollo going after Tate, to me, all right, that's a nothing man. That's just another drama queen chasing his clicks, chasing his clout, another self-appointed expert because he said so. Nonsense. These sorts of people are not leaders of men. They are not men of character. They're not men to be looked up to. And I think if it's a real pity that people can't put aside the drama and all be on the same team, because, man, the wokies, they unite together. The virtual Gestapo will come after you together and try and cancel you.
Yeah, it's the funny thing about woke people is they'll see gay people walk around in a park and say, we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. And they're so bonded together that none of them will speak out and call that disgusting. And you have to admire that type of brotherhood because they know that that's gross, but they're just like, we need to get this done. We need to, this is for our cause. And so they won't stake each other.
Brotherhood amongst the wokies.
It's really admirable when you think about it.
I guess it ties into the whole, if you're a communist, then you believe in the party message and you shouldn't speak against the party message or the way they can unite, and the men who, like yourself, are doing a lot of good work to wake up men and to try and essentially save traditional values and as a result, fight for the health of humanity, surely we can put our drama and hating aside and just work with each other. It's disappointing to see.
What's your read on Rich Cooper? I saw you did a podcast with him recently. He seems pretty similar to Rollo in what he talks about. But I did see some criticism because when a guy is only talking about women for years and years and years, I think you should, when it comes to male self-improvement, there's so many other aspects, which I like. You talk about shooting, about brotherhood, about how to make money, about a custom-made it's every aspect. Not if you only focus on girls, that's a very minute detail when it comes to becoming a well-rounded man.
Yeah,
but I see him only talk about women for years and years and years. It's like you don't even show what your relationships are like. If you're going to be an expert on just relationships, I have to see, just like as a viewer, I have to know what's going on. Or else I can't take that serious. I'm wondering what your take on that is.
I hear that. I mean, look, I talk about relationships occasionally, and I keep my relationships private. So, I mean, I can understand not wanting to put certain parts of your personal life out there. What I see with Rich Cooper is his subject matter is those things. So he speaks to that, but he's built successful businesses aside from coaching. He has a good lifestyle involving supercar rallies. He's living well. So I would view him as someone who's a lot more credible than someone who's written books and speaks a lot on the internet. You know what I mean? So it's from what I've seen of Rich, he's also living a good life. Now, I think the magic for Rich, and I told him this, would be to get out of the West. You can find good women. There are good women out there. My life is proof. Obviously, people are in my orbit are like, oh yeah, wow, that's a thing. You can find respectful, attractive, grounded, beautiful feminine women and have them in your life in a halal manner. That's possible. But I don't think you can do it in the West. So I think someone like Rich Cooper would do well to adopt my policy. Western women aren't real. I'm going to go to a country, or you don't even need to go to a country. I'm going to find women in my country who have the same values as me, who have the same relationship expectations as me. They do exist. Out there are women who want you to be a man and they want to be a woman. They're not infected by the feminist mind virus. I think that's the thing that our man Rich needs to do in order to find very fulfilling relationships that adhere to his traditional values.
What do you think that the Tates messed up on? I see that we both agree that they're innocent and that this is false imprisonment. But as somebody you're very analytical, and I would like to see what your take is. What do you think that they could have done better? For a lot of people watching, I think that what's happening to them is a warning sign for men. I think anybody who doesn't buy into that woke agenda, they're going to be a target. I think that they're trying to take away a lot of other people. So how can we prepare? How can we see the Tates and see some of the mistakes they possibly made and avoid those?
Oh no, they definitely made mistakes, but you see, I have a master's degree in risk management. My career, pathway has been always risk-based. So I'm a lot more paranoid and a lot more cautious than people like the Tates. And indeed, they've built a global brand, being the guys who don't care, just get it done. I'm the guy who does care, and it's like, whoa, slow down. So my worldview is very different to theirs. In that, for example, they'll host big parties with a bunch of people. It's good footage, it's good lifestyle footage. For branding, that makes sense. Whereas for me, I'm like, each one of these people is a potential liability. So it's a different mindset. I don't know if they could have built what they built without being that guy who's like, invite a bunch of people to the yacht or the jet or whatever, and build that brand. But I think young men of today should just be aware that does bring risk. Now they were aware of the risk, they accepted the risk. I was always the guy in the background saying, man, all these women, any one of these could be, 5 years later, a ticking time bomb. They can make lies that can then end in imprisonment, which is exactly what we've seen. So it's a tricky one. If you want to be that big bowler with your big parties and living well, and having a lot of interactions with women, how do you do that in a safe way? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't think you can anymore. I think the Tate case study shows that any woman you bring in your life could, whether it's a year later or 5 years later or 20 years later, come up with a story which then damages your reputation, could lead to financial issues, legal consequences, both in terms of time, money, stress, and can have you put in jail. If you look into the credibility of the two main complainants in the Tate case, and they're the only two real complainants, both of these women have a history of making up lies about men that's documented, yet the Tates are still effectively imprisoned. It's mind-bending. You can be a known liar, a known grifter, a known squeeze men for their money and attention and so on, make up stories about men and still have those men put in jail.
Right.
That's the world we live in. It's terrifying.
And not even minute, the serious examples of these women ruining men's lives completely. So
it's terrifying, man. For me, if you want to be the sort of guy who has multiple women in your life, I think the only safe way to do it is, through Islam and through
It's the whole way, and that's really the only solution now going forward.
I don't see any other safe way, because
No.
even if you're an absolute gentleman to a woman, even if you take care of her, even if you have cameras, all these sorts of things in your
Something will
homes,
happen.
5 years later she can say, you know what, that guy's gone and got a bunch of money now. I want some of that. That time where he was a bit rough with me in bed, actually that was rape. That's what we're seeing with the UK thing.
Yeah.
This woman kept going back to Tate for months. She obviously, if something's terrible, but you keep going back to someone for months and taking part in that same thing, you're giving consent. Yeah. But she decided 6 years later, based on a conversation with a friend, it wasn't consent, and now there's a case against Tate in the UK. It's terrifying stuff. It really is.